Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Rama 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 भगवान श्री योगी रामसूरतकुमार की जय। सर्वं योगी रामसूरतकुमारार्पणमस्तु। Offering our grateful pranams at the lotus feet of our Bhagwan. Let us remember again and again that constant remembrance of God is truly living. Whenever we forget the Nama, as per Bhagwan, we are dead. And not only that, let's remember, not a single Nama goes waste. Every Nama does its transforming work. It helps Bhagwan's work. It helps the whole world. What can be more easy? What can be easier service than this to the world and to our Guru? Today is a great day. It's called Arudra Darshan Day. Arudra is the star of Lord Shiva. That's what they say. But how could there be any star for someone who is birthless, who is eternal? Yet, the Tiruvadirai, we call it Tiruvadirai in Tamil, it's Ardra. On this day, Bhagwan Shiva danced blissfully between the two horns of the bull, Nandi Dev. When he did it originally, after drinking the poison that came up while the ocean was being churned, Shri Vyagrapada Rishi and Patanjali Rishi could not see it, and they so much wanted, they had such longing for seeing this cosmic dance of Shiva. And they begged and begged. And Lord Shiva finally danced the dance of the cosmic dance of the one divine. Bhagwan revealed the truth, the true meaning of this cosmic dance of Shiva to me through a very simple demonstration. The great seers of truth, they are the embodiment of the ultimate truth, the supreme truth themselves. Their words would be simple, their life would be simple, but the simplicity is always accompanied by profundity. The most profound truth gets revealed in simple demonstrations through them. That is their greatness. And let us see, this I have already described quite a few times to different audiences. And today being a very highly auspicious day, and the truth of today's Leela is so profound, it will not do just hearing it once or twice. We have to contemplate on it and get to the very truth behind it and be established in it. Just as we repeat the mantra, as we go on repeating, the mantra gathers power. The practice, not the mantra has power already, but your practice gathers power. Anything that you repeat again and again and again, it gathers power and takes over at a certain point, even bad habits. Now, when an idea is repeated again and again, when you contemplate on an idea, especially when it concerns God and when it is the highest truth, the only truth, the true truth, the practice, remembering, contemplating, the practice will gather more and more power. And finally, one day, you will land in the very truth of it. So it's necessary to go through the details as revealed by Bhagwan. It has nothing to do with the human glory. It is all the glory of Bhagwan's grace. Now, on an Arudra Darshan day, I happened to be in Sri Dwaraknath Reddy's place. He's a staunch Ramana Bhakta. And Bhagwan took me once and left me there in their house. And ever since, for 5 years, whenever I came to Tiruvannamalai, I used to stay with them. And they looked after me so well because of their love for Bhagwan. On Arudra Darshan day, Sandhya, my spiritual sister, and Sri Dwaraknath Reddy, whom I called Appa, his daughter, she and I went to the temple for Arunachaleshwara Darshan that day, Sri Nataraja's Darshan, because on this day there would be special abhishekam and puja to Lord Nataraja. So she took me along, and I had this longing for darshan of Bhagwan, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, and I was hoping all the time that I would come across him, or we would even stop by the house of Bhagwan. Sandhya, knowing my mind, I told her, shall we go through Sannadhi Street? She understood and smiled, and then she took me along. But to our disappointment, we found it locked. So we went straight to Arunachaleshwara Mandir. After we entered, Sandhya saluted Bhagwan from a distance, and she said, I'm going inside. And then I told her, you know where I'm going. She nodded with a smile, and then she went ahead. I came and stood. I found Bhagwan. I was actually praying that I should find Bhagwan somewhere. And to my great delight, I found him right at the entrance, a little away from the entrance. He was seated under the Ashwatha tree. There was a crowd around him, but most of the crowds were going straight ahead to the sanctum sanctorum of Arunachaleshwara. So I went straight to the place of Bhagwan, stood at a little distance, waiting for his nod, without which we could not go near him. And by his own grace, he called me with a gesture, a nod of his head, and then I rushed and sat with the crowd. Where I sat, I could see people, crowds of them, rushing inside, straight, without looking this side or that side. And suddenly it became a wonder to me that Chaitanya, Nataraja Chaitanya, is seated here in flesh and blood, right in front of us. We could see him, we could hear him, we could interact with him. He's all our own. Why would these people rush like this to see Abhishekam and Puja to a statue? Of course it is Archavatara. It has its own power. But then, I still could not understand why people would not come to the divinity in human form. As I was wondering, I was even thinking that they were going like the horses with blinkers. I felt sharp glances from Bhagwan now and then. Bhagwan always knew everybody's thoughts. And I was thinking, my God, this day, what a great day, the day Lord Nataraja, Lord Shiva, chose to dance his cosmic dance. And here is Shiva, in flesh and blood, seated with me. And I had heard so much about his dance. Once Ramanashram Shri Ganeshanna told me, described so beautifully how Bhagwan made the sound of the damaru, the drum that he holds in hand. Lord Shiva holds in hand, how Bhagwan made the sound with his mouth, was jumping and jumping from one slab to the other. There is a cremation ground, a burial ground, cremation ground near Ishanya Mat. Bhagwan, in those early days after he landed in Tiruvannamalai, when nobody gave him shelter or food, he was often found there, the cremation ground, where he was left alone. No miscreants would approach him there. So as soon as he came out of Ishanya Mat, when he saw his old haunt, the mood took over. He went into Shiva Bhava. He made the sound of the damaru with his own mouth and started to jump and dance from slab to slab, swirling and jumping across. The true dance of Shiva. when Sri Ganeshana described this, it created a very sharp craving in me to see such a one. It never happened though. And once Arudra Ma, when she had come with Dr. Hugo, she found him when they entered the temple, Arunachaleshwara Temple. Bhagwan was already dancing and there was a crowd standing around watching. And Bhagwan was in that great state of Shiva, swirling, jumping with wide sweeps of hands and legs. What a scene it must have been. When she described that to me again, it kindled my longing further. And sometimes I would pray, like Vyagrapada, Patanjali, though I was nowhere near them. I would still make my little prayer soulfully for his dance, but it never happened. So here I was thinking, this is the day Lord Shiva chose to dance. Won't Bhagwan do any dancing today for us, like he did for the intimate disciples, Vyagrapada and Patanjali and Goddess Parvati? And I had no idea I had voiced it out. Such was the longing of my heart. I did not know I had spoken loudly. Will not this Shiva dance for us today? And I woke up when he said, why not? But as soon as he said it, I knew that I had said it. I was so scared because if anybody talked out of turn in his presence, if he did not go in tune with his Father's work, he would instantly remove us from there. He would simply say, this beggar leaves you now, you can go. And you could not stay there even for a fraction of a second after that. I was so scared, I was in fact trembling that I had spoken like this because I used to be very much afraid. But then I heard Bhagwan say, why not? I couldn't believe my ears. I was wondering whether I heard it right. And Bhagwan was making some casual, light conversation with people around. And there was soon, within minutes, there was no trace at all of his saying that, why not? But I knew the words had come out of his mouth, which meant he would dance. It was a word from him, and he would dance. So my heart was filled with bliss at the very thought of it, and I was awaiting the chance. There was a lady, a vendor. She was a vendor of buttermilk and curds. She was seated right in front of Bhagwan, and she spoke in her village slang. Sami, why wouldn't you take a cup of buttermilk from me these days? At least now take a little. I would be so happy if you take a little. And Bhagwan was smiling to her indulgingly, saying, Amma, when I need, I will definitely ask you. I will come to your place and take it. So this was the kind of conversation I was making with those people around. And I was waiting and waiting for the chance. And suddenly, he boomed. He said, Devaki, see, Shiva is dancing. When I looked at him, he was looking up. Immediately I looked up also, and all the people around. And all that we could see up there was the swaying of the leaves of the tree in the rather heavy breeze. I just looked at it and said, what did he say? Shiva is dancing? And what do we see? Have I not seen this 100 times before? The movement of the leaves in the breeze. What is so special about it? How is Shiva dancing? And I literally imagined, I was just looking for Lord Shiva in his dancing pose. I could not see any Shiva, only the leaves moving in the breeze. And then Bhagwan by then started his conversation with someone else. So I just left it at that. I was thinking, okay, I was insensitive, so I could not get to see Lord Shiva's presence there. And then this conversation, something or the other was going on, the crowd. And suddenly again, his voice boomed. He said, Devaki, see, Shiva is dancing. And so he just caught the scene. He pointed out, looked up, and I looked up too. And this time, what did I see? A clear blue sky, the background of it, in front of which there were 3 white birds gliding gracefully in a certain formation. You can imagine the pure white birds gliding very gracefully, one below the other, in the background, in the backdrop of this clear blue sky. Immediately I was reminded of that particular incident of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa when he was a boy and he was moving through the fields. He would come across the scene. He would look up and then he saw something similar and he went into samadhi. So I was thinking of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa and the scene, and that's all I could see. But this time I could see the beauty, the gracefulness of the movement and the beauty, though I could not feel any divinity in that. Again, I missed a point and he knew. So once again, he was very busy with people who were coming, sitting and going out. And then a lady had come there with a carrier and she said, Swami, today is Tiruvadira, that is Arudra Darshan day, and I have made some kali, some preparation very dear to Lord Shiva, and I have brought it for you. Will you kindly take it? Then Bhagwan gestured to her to keep the carrier near him and asked her to sit down. Then he pointed out. He looked straight into my eyes and said, come here. He didn't say it, but he gestured. So rather doubtfully I got up and went near him, and then he said, sit down. And then he called that lady and said, you have brought it for this beggar? Yes. Now this beggar would like you to serve this lady. I was so scared to look at that lady's face because she had brought it, she had rushed there as soon as she made it just to offer to Bhagwan. She had come all the way carrying it, and here Bhagwan was telling her, very cool man, you serve this lady. But to my surprise and wonder, her countenance did not change. She was still, there was a suggestion of a smile. She must have been used to his ways. So very casually, she started to serve. She just put up the plantain leaf in front of me, and she served that preparation, what we call kali. It's a mixture of rice powder and jaggery, steamed. So she just put it in my leaf and served some vegetables also, and went and stood in her place, waiting for his next command. And Bhagwan looked at me and said, "Start eating." Start eating? I just looked around, and there was such a big crowd. It was a temple, and people, crowds of them were going inside, and a huge crowd right in front of us. And here I was with the plantain leaf and the food that was dear to Lord Shiva served. And here Bhagwan was asking me to eat it. I had no choice. I was also delighted in one way that Bhagwan was giving me the prasad. So when I bent down, I saw a centipede. It's a black thing that you find during the rainy season. It's black in color with yellow spots on either side. And it moves very fast. It has hundreds of bristle-like legs. And it was crawling straight towards me and crawling very fast, moving very fast, and it came right up to the leaf. Just looking at it, I felt so disgusted. I felt a nausea because it happened right from childhood. Whenever I saw this creature, I would be repulsed so much. I felt a revulsion inside, such a disgust, that I forgot the presence of Bhagwan and those people, and I forgot it was a temple. My entire focus was on this little creature which was crawling towards my leaf. And all I could think of, what if it climbs up? How can I eat it? And I have to eat it because Bhagwan has said it. And I would vomit. And suddenly, Bhagwan's voice thundered from behind. Devaki, see, Shiva is dancing. And the way he said it, there was such power in his voice. And suddenly I felt some vibrations, deep vibrations in my entire being. And see, my view changed completely. I just looked at it. What was ugly, disgusting, was creating fear in me, suddenly changed into beauty, divinity, and gracefulness. Suddenly I felt the truth of his truth, literally, the literal truth of his statement. The same disgusting, minutes before, seconds before, it was a disgusting creature, was bent upon climbing up to the leaf. Now seconds after he boomed, all I could see was the beauty, the divinity, and the gracefulness of its movement. How could that be? In a fraction of a second, everything changed. And suddenly, I understood what he meant. You can imagine my state of mind. I was still trembling because the truth hit me with a force, the truth of his statement. So powerful, so divine, and it hit me with a force, and I almost reeled under its impact. How could something so ugly, so disgusting, would change into a divine, graceful beauty? Such is the power of our Bhagwan, his words, his truth, in which he is living all the time. and I knew. This time I did not miss the point, and I knew, and he knew that I knew it, and I knew that he knew that I knew. Immediately he stopped his Leela and said, Devaki, Shiva is always dancing. You learn to see it. And there ended the Leela. Just imagine a leaf moving in the breeze, a bird flying in the sky, and a creepy crawly, a disgusting creature. How could he reveal such profound truth in a very simple demonstration? This is the greatness of these great masters, the Jnanis. In simple words, the truth got revealed. I understood that every movement of everything that's manifest is a gesture of dance of Shiva. This is the true cosmic dance of Shiva. In physics, I had often taught to my students how the molecules, how the protons, electrons, the nuclear particles, even the neutrinos, how they were in incessant motion. Everything vibrates in this world. From the silence of the awareness, the vibrations start, and from the vibrations, the manifestation happens. The stillness is called Shiva, and the vibration, the vibrational creation is called Shakti. So it's a manifestation of the Shakti of Shiva, the entire cosmos, the whole creation. Of course now, by then, when the Leela was over, I quickly ate up whatever she had put, and then by then, Lord Nataraja had come out. The puja was over, it was well decorated, and crowds of people in the front and crowds of people behind. And Lord Nataraja was coming out for his procession. The corridor, the outer corridor of the temple. So, people, Vedaparayan, all those Brahmins, chanting the Veda mantras, and people are around. Immediately the whole space was filled with them, and Lord Nataraja started to move to the right. And Bhagwan in one jump got up, and the crowd dispersed. And then just imagine those people are going in the front, and Lord Nataraja was following them. And there was a huge crowd following Lord Nataraja. They would not even look back to see who was following them. But it didn't matter to Bhagwan. He went after those people with his hand raised in benediction. He was blessing those people all the time. Those people are going behind Lord Nataraja, and here this human Nataraja in the human form, was blessing them. Then I wanted to follow him so much, I was also scared if he should turn round and see me following him. What if he said, "Go away"? I couldn't be there even for a single second. So whenever he turned, I would go into hiding. I followed him, I followed the procession all through the corridor. And then as soon as Nataraja made his round and entered into the temple, the whole space got cleared. And suddenly I could not see Bhagwan anywhere. So I was looking here and there, searching, and suddenly I found him in a corner where there was nobody. And what did I see? He was dancing. Just as Shri Ganeshana described, just as Arudra Ma described, he was dancing with wide sweep of his hands and legs, jumping and swirling. I just stood there transfixed, rooted to the spot, unable to move, completely transported to the realm of Shiva. A few seconds or a few minutes, I had no idea of the time that passed, but as suddenly he stopped dancing, and then I knew I had to go, so I rushed out. What a day! What a teaching! What a demonstration! The Leela from the ocean of Leelas, the Leela Samudram. What a great teaching! How could anybody teach this in a simpler way? Now, this is not just for me, this is for everybody. Everybody who comes to him seeking solace and succor, everybody who wants to know the truth, everybody who wants to dedicate themselves to his service. This is for all. We have to remember this Leela, bring it to mind again and again and again, and contemplate until it becomes our truth. How we have to practice. Whatever we see is he, whatever we hear is he. Everything that moves in this cosmos is dance of Shiva. Even the ugliest, even the most disgusting, there is beauty, divinity, and grace behind it. If a tree sways in the wind, know that Shiva is there dancing for you. If you happen to see the movement of a snake, keep a safe distance and know that Shiva is moving. He is dancing. Your own movement, your body's movement, every step that you take is dance of Shiva. If we keep on practicing this, remembering, not practicing, just remembering this, remembering, repeatedly, the practice will gather power because of repetition, and that would finally land us in the experience of the truth. And what truth? The highest, ultimate truth. Now that day, Bhagwan not only revealed the inner truth of the manifestation, what we call cosmos, he also danced physically just to fulfill my longing. What grace! Now this Bhagwan is here, right in front of us. Let us submit our prayers to this embodiment of compassion and grace. Bhagwan, you have said so many times you were the cosmic controller. You are the cosmic controller. You run the whole cosmos. You have manifested as the whole cosmos, and you are the controller. We appeal to you, to your boundless compassion.